This is one of my favorite ways to overcome patient resistance or patient non-adherence. And it's really just a simple question. When you're in a situation with a patient and the patient's being somewhat resistant, or you suspect that they're not fully on board with what you want them to do, whatever action you want them to take, is just to simply ask, just pause in the conversation and say, can I just ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, how motivated are you to do what we're talking about? 1 being not motivated at all, and 10 being highly motivated. And if the patient is indeed resistant or not on board, their answer is probably going to be on the low end, right? And let's just say, for example, they pick a 3. So the real power in this approach is not in that question, it's actually in the follow-up question. So let's say they pick a 3. They say 3, you follow up. Instead of saying, because you could say, well, why didn't you pick a higher number? But that could come across as defensive. Like, why isn't this more important to you? Well, it's just not. The other approach would be to say, well, why didn't you pick a lower number? Why didn't you pick a 2? This forces the patient to think about their own reasons for possibly wanting to do something. Let's just take a quick example of perhaps contact lenses. Let's say you've got a patient that's never worn contacts before, and you are educating the patient on this possibility or this option of contacts, and you're getting the impression the patient's not fully on board. You could just pause in the conversation and say, can I just ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, how motivated are you to do this? And the patient, let's just say, says 3. And so you could follow up and say, okay, can I ask why you didn't pick a lower number? The patient could say something like, well, I guess it would be nice not to have to wear glasses all the time. And I am very active. I play softball on the weekends and I do a lot of biking. I guess it would be nice not to have glasses bouncing around on my head all the time. Now you've got the patient talking about their reasons for wanting to do something. And people are always going to be more motivated to do something for their reasons, as opposed to having someone else push their reasons onto you. So the real power in this approach is getting the patient to elicit their own reasons for wanting to do something, and then your role becomes supporting what's important to the patient. And if you can do that, if you can get the patient talking, you might start to see that wall of resistance come down.